Hello, sir. Can you state who you are?
Marshall Stair. I'm an at-large city council member, seat B.
State your name.
My name is Matthias Bishop.
Connor Holmberg.
Michelle He.
Deontay Blair.
Remy Tunstall.
Can you explain City Council's role in government? I found that there was a lot of confusion out there as to what council representatives actually do for the city.
I sort of see it as a cross between a legislative body and then like an executive board.
Okay.
We're in charge, and a big part of what we do is deal with all the zoning issues in Knoxville, and that's one of our greatest responsibilities. But we also act as a legislative body. So if you want to pass a city ordinance, or revise an ordinance, or delete an ordinance, that all goes through city council. So in that aspect, it's like the legislative body for city government. In terms of the board, we also look at the budget, approve the budget. A lot of spending resolutions come before this. Any spending over $25,000, purchase, sales of property. A lot of these type of things come before city council as well. And in that way, we're sort of more like an executive board, sort of reviewing what the administration's doing, and we have to approve it. So it's a little bit of combination of those two things. But I think the simplest way to explain it to someone is it's just the legislative branch of city government.
Are you voting in this year's city council election?
I was not planning on it, no sir.
Okay.
I didn't know that there was going to be an election.
I didn't know there was one.
I probably would if I would be old enough.
No, I'm not old enough, but I plan on doing that when I get older.
Why should young people care about city council in this election?
Well, for a number of reasons. The city government is the government, especially if you live in the city, is the government closest to you. We pick up your trash, we deal with your street, we deal with traffic, we maintain the parks. All those issues, if you need the fire department or police department, these are things that are run by the city. And you want to understand what's going on, and by participating in the council election, I think you learn to know these people that are in charge of these things, and I think that's very important. The way media is gone now, we talk a lot about the president, and the president obviously has a huge impact, but a lot of things that really impact your day-to-day life happen at the local level. And really important things. So that's why it's important to learn about who's running, what issues they're wanting to work on, what changes there might be proposing, whether you agree or disagree, get involved and vote and get to know them. I think it'll make you feel more invested in Knoxville and really make you a better citizen. And I think it's great to start at an early age. It's a lot of young people that have just going to school or doing different things, don't get involved. But I think if you just make it a pattern, people I talk to that vote, they like it. It's easy, it's quick, and our country doesn't ask a lot of you. You're asked to serve on juries and you're asked to vote, and it's not much. But to make our system work as well as it can, a democracy needs people engaged in voting.
Do you feel that city council or local government in general addresses issues that affect young people?
Not too much.
Maybe indirectly, but I don't know if there's much of a conscious effort to really target young people.
Within city limits, yeah, I think they do. With all the parks and rec centers, yeah, they help.
Can you name some examples of city council enacting laws or changes that specifically affected young people?
Well, we're in the process of doing that right now with short-term rentals. People have mentioned often this is like the Airbnb issue, and a lot of times people point out that it's the younger people that are in favor of allowing this type of use in residential areas. And for those that aren't familiar, this is when you rent out a room, or if you leave for the weekend and rent out your house through a website like Airbnb, and to visitors or tourists. and we're debating where that's going to be permitted, what's going to be permitted, fees associated with that. So if you're potentially going to own a home, whether you have the right to do that or not could be determined by this legislation. I think a lot of young people, have opinions about it and are interested. So I think that's a great example.
What would you say to the person that doesn't believe government affects them?
That believes government does not affect them?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they must be living on the moon. There's no way that it doesn't. The streets are built, there's different layers of government, obviously. But if they ever went to a public school, that's run by the county government here in Knox County. In the city, all the streets are maintained by the city. The street lights are maintained by the city. If they've ever put their trash out and had it collected, that's the city. The safety, fire and police, that's all done through the city. And you're affected, oftentimes you might not even know it. Like public safety, you may never realize it, but the officers are out there, working to enforce the laws, and some of that you may benefit and not even know.
How can councilmen reach young people better?
If our council members were to come to schools and meet with student councils, and I think also meeting with, the senior class.
Outreach, both, like in person or on social media, things of that nature.
Most students that I know aren't going to, actively research what our city government does, but maybe, reaching out to schools and such.
Right. Anything more that you would like to say or
Well,
touch
I
on
think,
about this election?
I think
or?
there's, I just encourage people to learn what they can about the candidates, vote. I think early voting starts for the primary in August, and then there'll be another election in November. And in November, one thing that's important to know in the city races, you get to vote for every district. It's very different. I don't know of any other government like this where there's district seats, but you get to vote for the representative in districts even where you don't live. The idea is that that everybody's responsible to the whole city. So I would encourage people to learn about it. Go to people's websites, go to their Facebook pages. There'll be some forums, I'm sure, especially once it gets cut down to, I guess, 10 candidates. There'll be 2 from each district, and then just vote. And the other thing to realize is there's a record. Once you register to vote, there's a record of when you vote and don't vote. It's almost like a report card. So, I'd encourage you start voting and then pull your report card and look at it. And you can go down and pull your parents. And there's a lot of people who think they vote every election and they don't. There's a lot of elections. So there is a report card, and it feels good to vote every time.